All right, guys, let me give you a brief introduction to the discrete probability. Okay. Um, so this is it for the graphs for now. Um, so we're going to start discrete probability. Discrete probability. All right. Um, Again, this is going to be a lot of definitions, okay? As usually when you have a new topic, discrete math, this is what happens. So you will start with the definition of an experiment, okay? An experiment. Experiment is, we denote experiment by E or epsilon, large epsilon, um, is anything whose um whose outcome is unknown. Okay, unknown हम कहते हैं या uncertain. इस तरह की चीज को हम एक्सपेरिमेंट कहते हैं. ओके, दिस इज सम एक्शन जिसके अंदर कुछ हो रहा है और उसकी जो आउटकम है वो अननोन है. अब यहाँ पे अब फिर आउटकम आया है. यहाँ पे आउटकम के लिए हम डिफाइन करते हैं सैंपल स्पेस. सैंपल स्पेस का वर्ड यूज होता है मेरे ख्याल है सैंपल स्पेस ही यूज होता है. सैंपल स्पेस sample space is a set of all possible outcomes, okay, comes of an experiment. So we denote this by s या हम ओमेगा के साथ पे डिपेंड करता है. So it would either be s or it would be omega. So for example, if your experiment is toss two coins, तो फिर आपकी जो पॉसिबल आउटकम्स हैं वो आपके पास हैं. यू कैन गेट two heads, you can get a head and a tail, you could get a tail then a head, and you could get two tails. Okay, so this is the sample space of this experiment. Similarly, so हम ये करते हैं कि we always assume कम से कम इस क्लास में that S is known. Okay, हो सकता है आपको किसी ने explicitly ना बताया हो, but implicitly S is known. Okay, so for example, experiment could be pick a subset of 1, 2, 3, 4 up to let's say 100. Okay, अब इसकी जो sample space I can't write it down, right, because it's huge, right? There are a lot of possibilities for choosing a subset from this set. There are actually 2 to the 100 possible outcomes of this experiment, right? I can't write them all down, but we all know what the sample space is in this case. Okay, so that's a sample space. Similarly, I could have a experiment which is roll dice. अब मैं I always forget, is dice a plural or a die plural? Die मेरे ख्याल में शायद आपके पास dice plural, right? You roll a die, है ना? So I'm assuming it's a die. So you roll a die. So what could happen? You could get something on the die, and the possible things that you can get on a die is either a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3 or a number 4. Number 5 or number 6. Okay, so that's that. An interesting question usually is to find out cardinality of S. Okay, that's usually an interesting question for a given S. Acha. Um, so next thing is an event. Okay, an event usually denoted by E is a subset of sample space. ओके दिस इज व्हाट एन इवेंट इज अब देखो यहाँ पे ये जो वर्ड्स है ना एक्सपेरिमेंट हो गया आउटकम होगी इवेंट होगी इनके एक सॉर्ट ऑफ डिक्शनरी में भी मीनिंग है बट यू नीड टू समहाउ switch off that context. Okay, event does not mean the event in the real word sense. Okay, event is a subset of the um, sample space. Once you are sort of more familiar with these terms, तो फिर you'll see कि they are intuitive. Okay, but for now मैं ये I would recommend कि जो इसकी intuition है उसको थोड़ा सा switch off कर दें. Okay. So event E is just a subset of S, okay, and any subset of S is an event, okay. So for example, if this was my sample set, which is that I rolled a die and I got something on my die, तो फिर a possible event could be, let's call it E1, it could be an empty set, okay. Another event could be that 1 or 2, okay. Another event could be E3, for example, could be everything, okay. Similarly, another event could be E4 could be 2, 4, 6, okay. All right. अच्छा अब इस केस में I define the events exactly for you. Okay, I gave you the subset, but there is another way to define. जैसे subset की इस sample space के बारे में मैंने आपको कहा था कि you can intuitively define it. Okay, not maybe write down the whole set. Okay, just describe what sample space is. Similarly, you can describe the event instead of writing it down. So for example, another event, let's call it E5, is I'm going to describe it as um, uh, an odd number. Okay, so so you all know what this means. It means that it's either 1, 3, or 5. Okay, it does not contain 7. Okay, let's change the experiment and let's now say that experiment now is that we roll 2 dice. Again, I am hoping that dice is a plural and dice the singular term. Okay, so you roll 2 dice. Let's call them A and B. Now, sample space is a pairs A comma B, where A is anything between 1 and 6, and B is also anything between 1 and 6, right? So now let me define an event E1 to be let's say 1 1 and 2 2. Okay, this is one possible event. Another possible event is, so I'm going to describe it. Okay, I'm going to describe it as these are the pairs AB such that A plus B is equal to 7. Okay, similarly I could define another event and I could use the same terminology and I could say that A plus B is equal to 100. Okay, so that's sort of the ways I define an event. Ab we need to define probability. Probability is a function from event space to real space. ओके, सो अगेन मैं आपको बार बार रिमाइंड करा रहा हूँ कि देयर आर इंट्यूटिव मीनिंग्स जो लोग यूज करते हैं, पर फॉर नाउ लेट्स स्विच देम ऑफ. ओके, हमने स्कूल में भी प्रोबेबिलिटी पढ़ी होगी, तो आई वुड रेकमेंड कि उसको थोड़ी देर के लिए स्विच ऑफ कर दें. Probability is nothing more than a function. Okay, it's a function. Okay, that's the keyword here. And it goes from event space to a real space. Okay, so again you have a function. इसकी जो इनपुट है वो एक इवेंट है और इसकी जो आउटपुट है वो एक रियल नंबर है. ओके, दैट्स ऑल. अब इसकी कंडीशंस हैं, 3 में हमें या 4 कंडीशंस हैं, लिखेंगे तो हम विल लर्न के वो क्या है. ओके, पहली कंडीशन तो ये है कि f of anything is non-negative. Okay, it must be at least 0. और इसकी कंडीशन ये है कि f of the whole sample space is 1. Okay, और इसकी थर्ड कंडीशन ये है कि f of union of two sets. Remember, event is a set. Okay, sample space भी एक set है. Okay, object की kind को हमेशा उसको grab it with your senses. Okay, कि ये किस type का है. For example, this E is a set, this S is a set. Okay, और इसकी जो input है ये हमेशा एक set होगी. So A union B is possible input for this set, and let's see what this is. Okay, so this is going to be less than or equal to f of A plus f of B. Okay, I think that's कुछ और था यहाँ पे. Let me see. I think that's enough. Okay, so if you have a function, उसकी input एक event है और उसकी आउटपुट एक रियल नंबर है और उसके ऊपर ये तीनों कंडीशंस ट्रू हैं, तो इस तरह के फंक्शन को हम प्रोबेबिलिटी कहते हैं. कोई भी फंक्शन हो, पिक एनी फंक्शन यू वांट, इफ इट गिव्स यू these three conditions are true for it, तो फिर good, awesome, that's probability. Okay, probability is name of a function. Its input is an event and its output is a real number. The real number can't be less than 0. You'll see that it can't be more than 1. मैंने यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ नहीं है, but it is implied from these three conditions that it can't be more than 1. For the whole sample space, it's going to be equal to 1. And if you pick two sets, तो फिर उनके union की जो probability है, it's not more than the sum of their individual probabilities. Okay? तो इस तरह के function को हम इस तरह के function को हम probability कहते हैं.